Yo, what's up? Ogechi Aghaji, aka Oaghaji here with another review. Now, before I begin, just want to let y'all know as usual that if y'all hear any talking and background noises, that's my family. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's begin this review. Today's review is going to be on the 1982, or I should say 1980, Hong Kong Kung Fu film classic from the Season Film Studio, and loosely based, on the real life Northern Chinese Kung Fu master and practitioner of Mi Zhong Chuan or Mai Zhong Kun, or Mi Zhong Lo Han Chuan, or Mi Zhong Lo Han Chuan, aka Mai Zhong Lo Han Kun in Cantonese, and the supposed founder of the Qing Wu martial arts gymnasium, Ho Yun Jia or Fok Yun Ga in Cantonese, Legend of a Fighter, starring Leung aka Brian Leung, Yasuaki Kurata, Yun Choi, no, Yun Choh or Yun Chor, Phillip and more. You know what I'm saying? And also, the fight choreography is done by Yu uh, Yun Yun Yi, and Jan Yen, Yun, Yun, excuse me. Written by Yun, produced by Yun, and directed by Yu Ping. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin. Now, the story takes place around during the end, around the latter days, the last days of the Qing dynasty in China, before the Republic era of China. Our story falls around a young Ho Yanjiao or fucking Gap, you know what I'm saying, and who wants to learn, the Hon family fist kung fu, or more specifically, the real life Chinese kung fu style, Mi Zhengchen or Mai Zhongkun, or the full name Mi Zhang Lu Hongchen in Mandarin, or Mai Zhong Lu Hongkun in Cantonese. But however, he's weak, and because of this, his father won't teach him, and he decides to send out a tutor from Japan. You know what I'm saying? Played by Yasuaki Kurata. To teach him academics and things of that nature. Later, but who, in actuality, is a skilled martial artist himself, but keeps it a secret, and wants to learn some of the Mai Zhong Lo Hong Kun techniques. You know what I'm saying? And so, what else about the plot? Oh yeah, he agrees to help, the young Hoi or fucking Gap to learn kung fu as well as academics, you know what I'm saying, and they keep their lessons, their kung fu training, a secret from, Fox's father, Ho Di, or the Fok. I forgot the last name in Cantonese. Anyways, they have to, depart. They have to be apart because he has, the tutor has to leave to Japan. And what else? What else am I missing? Oh yeah, he decides, Falcon Gap decides to give the tutor, a jade necklace, to honor their student and tutor relationship, which is cool. After the tutor left, Hoyan fucking Gap continues his kung fu training as well as his academic training, learning all of the techniques, in secret, you know what I'm saying, after watching, his father. And then later on, as he grew up, he becomes a full-fledged master of Mai Zhong Lo Hongkun, or Mi Zhu Lo Hongchun in Mandarin, or just simply known in the film as the Fok or Ho family fist. He faces off against a challenger who is skilled in the Eagle Claw. He defeats the challenger and earns the respect of his father. And the father names him his successor, which is on. Later on, he will face off against, a Russian boxer and defeats him, and a Japanese karateka who he defeats both. You know what I'm saying? It was Cheung. The two fighters were skilled, especially the Japanese karateka, but he was able to defeat them in the end. Later on, the tutor returns to China from his homeland, Japan, to, face against Fung Gap. And he tells Falk that they have to face each other in a duel, you know what I'm saying? Duel on the request of, Sanaka's father, who he trains under, the tutor. And they will have their battle, and it's a fateful battle and a tragic one that between student and teacher. Who will come out on top? Will it be fucking Gap or his tutor? You'll find, spoiler alert, it's fucking Gap. That's the bit of the story that I can give y'all. You know what I'm saying? As best as my abilities. So yeah. Why am I saying ums and ahs? This is what I get for doing this on the cuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to do this as best as possible. I'm gonna work on it. Anyways, the story in this film is actually pretty good. It's pretty deep. You know what I'm saying? It definitely tells a story of Hoyan Ja, fucking Gap in his journey to become this kung fu master and this supposed founder of the Qingwu gymnasium. But you know what I'm saying? But it's a little bit more to it than that, which I like. It also tells a story of a bond and a relationship between a teacher and student, which is, Falcon Gap and his Japanese tutor, played by Yasuaki Kurata, you know what I'm saying? Yung Chor or Yung Cho did a fantastic job as playing the young Hoyan Ja fucking Gap, you know what I'm saying? Opposite, Yasuaki Kurata, who plays the tutor, and Phillip Kofe, who plays, the father, you know what I'm saying, which is awesome. Lee Ga-ting, he did a fantastic job as the karate master Sanaka. I also like Fong Hak On's, guest, appearance, in the film, which I like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's a lot of, heart and emotion throughout, the story, especially with Leung as the more grown up fucking Gap meeting his teacher again, played by Yasuo Kurata. You know what I'm saying? And, it cuts deep, especially in the final fight, which I will get to in the action part. It's just tragic, you know what I'm saying? It had, like I said, it has a lot of heart to it. The characters get some very great development, especially with Hoyan Ja fucking Gap, you know what I'm saying, which I definitely like. And the comedic moments were also pretty good in this film, you know what I'm saying? I can definitely tell y'all that. Yeah, that's more I can say about that for right now because I want to drag this too long. The story, characters, acting, as well as the comedy, as well as the drama, get a 5 out of 5. The action is just awesome. Yul Ping and his brothers, Yun Chenyan, Yun John, Yun, and Yun Shenyi did a fantastic job with the fight choreography. They're simply known as Yungaban, and they did a fantastic job with the fight choreography, like I said, displaying, Mi Zhong Lo Hanchen or Mai Zhong Lo Hankun in Cantonese, as well as Japanese karate, the tiger claw, eagle claw, you know what I'm saying, Western boxing. All of it is just fantastic. You know what I'm saying? The fights were also very well shot, very well edited, and lit too, which I like, you know what I'm saying? And the film as a whole was shot very well, especially when it comes to the more dramatic moments, you know what I'm saying? Especially in the final fight between Falk Yun Gap, Ho Yun Ja, played by Leung and the tutor, played by Yasuaki Kurata, Not only is the final fight was very well choreographed, and it's also very well acted. So you're basically watching a story within that final fight, which I like. It's just it punches you right in the gut, especially in the end. You know what I'm saying? It's just awesome. And the music in this is also pretty dope, using traditional Chinese music as well as some library music, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. It is just fantastic, you know what I'm saying? So the action, cinematography, editing, lighting, and the music, 5 out of 5 tops. Overall, Legend of a Fighter is an awesome 1980s Hong Kong kung fu film classic from Seasonal Films. I highly recommend y'all checking this out. And this is actually the first film to have Hoyan-ja, Falcon Gap, as the main focus and as a main character in a martial arts film. Now, previously, there was Fist of Fury starring the late, great Bruce Lee, playing Hoyan-ja, Fucking Gap's fictional student, Chen Jin, or Chen Jun in Cantonese, you know what I'm saying, which is cool, and that started the wave of not only with this film, but also with the other film before it as well, called New Fist of Fury, starring Jackie Chan, which is cool. And this film, along with those films, will lead on to the other films like the legendary, Fist of Legend, Fearless, both starring Jet Li, Legend of a Fist, starring Donnie Yen, as well as the Fist of Fury TV series starring Donnie Yen, as well as the legendary Fok, or the legendary Fok Yun Gap, starring Wong Yun Sun, and the late great Bruce Lun Sulong as Chen Jin or Chen Jun. You know what I'm saying? And many, 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 many others. You feel me? So, especially the ones that star Vincent Jumajek or Vincent Jia Winjo. You know what I'm saying? I highly, I highly recommend y'all checking this out. Excuse me, I almost messed up there. Like I said, I recommend this to kung fu film fans as a whole. This film, 5 out of 5. Hopefully, y'all enjoy this review, despite some hiccups here and there. I apologize, you know what I'm saying, especially for the summary of the plot, you know what I'm saying. I'm going to do better as best I can, you know what I'm saying. I'm getting there. Yeah, let me know what y'all think about Legend of a Fighter in the comments below if y'all watched it already. If y'all like this video, y'all can hit that like button and share it. Subscribe to the channel if y'all enjoy this type of content. Y'all can also follow me on my other social media accounts and stay tuned for more reviews and more other videos along the way. With all that said, this is your boy, Ogechi Aghaji, aka Oaghaji, aka the perfect sensei from the West Coast, signing out. Peace.